Good morning. Good morning, one and all. I'm glad to see you here. I'm Catherine Bush, part of the clergy team at Calvary Episcopal Church, and we're glad to have those of you in the room and those of you who may be joining us online on this All Saints Sunday. And I'm looking around the room, and actually this is a testament to our speaker today, is that there's some people who spent all day with Sandra Smith yesterday, came back for more, and brought their spouses. So that may tell you all you need to know about the wonderful day that we had yesterday in Sandra's company, which really did feel like we were in your company. So thank you for inviting us into a conversation about the Enneagram. It was enlightening, even if some of us are still a little unresolved, but just a depth, and not just of information about this way of seeing the world, but you'll immediately see that Sandra has a groundedness and a depth that extends beyond any particular area of expertise. So we're grateful that she's come back for another conversation today, and looking forward to learning some more. So thank you, Sandra, for being here. Thanks. Mm-hmm. That's your cue.
Good morning. So I'm going to trust that others will come and fill up the front, but if anybody feels moved to come up, please do. Yep, I'd appreciate that. And it was a lovely day yesterday with many of you, and I thank you. What I learned about Calvary Episcopal is that you have a welcoming spirit. You have a welcoming spirit. I was grateful for that. What percentage of you is here right now? How much of you is here? And I would ask that you be here as best you can, sensing your body, your feet on the floor, sensing where your clothes touch your skin. You know, sensation is a gateway to present moment, which is a gateway to spiritual experience. Sensations are truly helpful to us in moving us toward that. So yesterday was Enneagram, and I've taught it for 25 years. It grows and grounds me and continues to do so. This morning really is not, so if you were expecting that, if there's time toward the end for questions, I'm glad to offer whatever you want to know about the Enneagram in a short period of time. But this is about All Saints' Day. And this time of year is known as the thin place, where the world of the living and the world of the dead isn't so distant. So in this moment, I want to acknowledge those of us who have experienced recent loss, and those of us who continue to hold the loss of a grief close. This is a tender time of remembering and loving. So I am inviting us into 2 minutes of silence where we journey to the hearth of our heart. If you can imagine that, the core of our heart that is so still and quiet. I like to think of it as a hearth. And suddenly I become a cat and I just curl up there. But in those 2 minutes of silence, I invite us to be still, go to the still, quiet place at the core of our hearts, and remember our loved ones no longer here, and also hold close those of us who have experienced recent losses. So be with yourself Name the losses, the people in your own heart. Be close to yourself right now. That means you'll be breathing. You know, we're not holding our breath, we're just breathing. And let the chair hold you up. Make no effort in this time as we honor, remember, and love. I'll keep time, so let's go into our hearts for 2 minutes. Thank you for engaging the stillness and the silence. And may this silence continue to bless us today. If you'd like, if you want to name aloud those loved ones who have moved on, let's make space to do that. We'll just popcorn that if you want to do that. Or people that you just hold. Anyone? Thank you. Thank you. All Saints' Day was first celebrated when Pope Gregory was running the show at the Catholic Church. And it was said that a saint was someone who had a faithful life, lived in love, and followed the ways of Jesus. Church saints, often there's a statue of them. you may have a church saint. For me, it's Francis of Assisi. A simple life, and a life of love of creatures. But let's move closer in, say the last 100 years. And who would be a contemporary saint for you? So I'm going to make space for us to talk about that. But it seems to me that saints, in addition to what I just read from at least the Catholic Church, that saints tend to be truth tellers. Truth tellers in love. And they also seem to be people who are activated. They aren't passive. Now, activated people don't have to be moving. I think of Julian sitting in her place and receiving people and contributing. Maybe that's what I mean. Activating, contributing. Prayer is a way of contributing, though we're not running around. I'd say in the last 100 years, when I was thinking about this, come on in. Yep. The people who came to my mind were, I would say, Eleanor Roosevelt, John Lewis, wonderful Maya Angelou. I almost began this morning with an Angelou quote who said, "What a wonderful day this is. I've never seen this one before." And also Desmond Tutu. When I was in theology school at Emory, he was there for 2 semesters. And he did the spring convocation that spring. Of course, everybody went. And I remember one sentence, but it doesn't ever leave me. And he said sometime in the middle of his homily, following the Christ begins in worship and ends in politics. And it seems he lived that. Doesn't mean we're brash, but that we're truth tellers, because the political is indeed personal, whichever way we go. So I'm asking you to consider who your saints are, contemporary saints in the last 100 years. And when you have some in mind, maybe just 2, but what are their traits? What for you are the traits that make someone saintly? So if you will, I'm going to ask you to turn to someone you don't live with and name a couple saints that might be dear to you. They may not be named formally a saint, but for you, you hold them in high esteem. And then name about 3 or 4 traits that you appreciate they offered in their living. Does this make sense, what I'm asking? Okay, get with 1 other or 2 other people, so 2 people or 3 people, and we'll do this for, 5 minutes, maybe a little more, but we'll just play with it, okay? Enjoy the conversation. I'll keep time. We'll go for a couple more minutes. And begin to wrap up, please. All right. You do that. I don't have my bell. Okay, friends. Yeah, I might have to raise my voice. Okay. Well, to be continued. Thank you. So, thanks for participating in that. I'm so curious about the traits. Let's just popcorn it. What traits did you name for your saints? Well, honesty. Communication, courage. Come again? Brave, courage. Wisdom. Come again? Commitment and compassion. A good listener. Empathy. Reverence and irreverence. Amen. And what was over here? Trustworthy, of course. Focus. Grace. Charity. Mm-hmm. Humility. They stood in the truth of who they were. They persevered. Yeah. A light touch. There was a sense of humor about them. Yeah. Yeah. Remember Maya Angelou's laugh? Yeah. Anybody else with traits? Who were your contemporary saints? Just offer some names, folks. Brene Brown. Okay. John Lewis. Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Sure. Malala, of course. Malala, thank you. Martin Luther King Jr. Amen. Mary Oliver.
And there are people that no one else would know.
Of course.
My mother.
Of course. Anyone else that you want to offer? Okay, one more time. Okay. Yeah, at the end of his days, yeah. And throughout his life, courage. Who else? Abraham Lincoln. Yeah, Jimmy Carter. You know, you just say Jimmy Carter and you just go, oh. Even if you voted for him or not, you just go, oh. Anyone else? I was, yes. Bishop Marianne Buddy. Lee Graham is a priest here. Thank you. Anyone else? You know, as you name these, I'm watching your faces and I'm feeling my heart open. It's like there's some kind of, it feels good to name people who to you are good people or saints. Yeah, thank you for that. Just notice your body as we participate in this. Is it expanding? Because if our body's expanding, our hearts are opening. But if we're constricted and contracted, our hearts are defended. It's a great clue about what's happening with us. Relaxed body, tight body. Just notice. The traits that you mentioned with your other people are traits you have too. Because the saying, if you spot it, you got it, is true. Now, when I teach the Enneagram, I talk a little bit about this, but usually it's around reactivity. If someone's making you reactive, they're showing you something in you that you haven't accepted. But here, on All Saints' Day, we'll talk about the golden shadow, that part of others that we appreciate but think we do not have. But in fact, if we can see it in another, we have it. I often think, gosh, I just love the way Jean is so playful. I wish I could be like that. I'm so serious. But I've got it too. I've got playfulness in me too. I just have to nurture it. Sometimes I nurture the wrong thing, like my impatience. I can nurture my impatience. So part of this exploration is, you know, you might want to look within to see where this trait is in you, how it operates, how often do you allow it, and what of the traits you mentioned would you like to cultivate more? You know, fertilize, water it a little bit so it grows a bit within. We can do this. We're not stuck in a box of Sandra or Michelle or Arthur. We're more than that. And this is one way to become more than we believe ourselves to be. What trait would you like to cultivate that you named? Now here's the next question. For me, it's a little more difficult, but doggone it, I'm going to do it. I committed to this last week. If there's something you want to cultivate in your life, maybe it's a 30-minute sit in the morning. Maybe it's one of the traits of the saints that you mentioned. How will you design the rhythm of your daily living to support that? How will I design the rhythm of my days to support more joy, more playfulness? Well, I better thinking about more margin between my tasks. But there are ways to structure your days to remember, this is the trait I want to cultivate. Any kind of transformation has to be embodied, and so we name what we intend. I'm going to cultivate this strength, this trait. So we have an intention, and the next piece is attention. We have to attend to it. We have to have road signs that remind us to pay attention to how we'll develop this trait. intention, attention, and then repetition. We have to keep paying attention. Probably that's called a practice. And practice means you practice it over and over again. And so if you're serious about cultivating a trait or a strength that you would admire in others and now know it's in you, you have to repeat how you're attending to it. And lastly, we don't grow in isolation. We need guides, and we need support, and we need companions along the way. Companion, I love that word. Do you know the Latin root of that? You can probably guess. With bread. So we need companions. Accountability partners is another way, but accountability is how we support each other. Is this doable? Does it seem doable? Intention, attention, repetition, and then guidance and support. When you're a part of a Sunday school class or a congregation, it makes finding that support and accountability a little easier because you have a group already made that you can draw from. So congregations are great places to work on cultivating saintly traits that we have. And as we cultivate one and it starts to stick, we can choose another. And as we do this, next time you hear when the saints go marching in, we can stand up and march. We just join right in. So that's my invitation to you, to claim that in yourself, to believe that it is a part of you. If you spot it, you got it. There's another trait that seems, and someone named it over here, a lightness. I'm going to call it joy. The joy of Desmond Tutu's welcome of you was quite spectacular. I mentioned the laugh of Maya Angelou, John Lewis dancing in his office suite with his aides. There's a joy about saints, a lightness, a sense of humor. Even in hard times, even in difficult transitional times like we're experiencing, we cannot give up on joy. There is a rather lengthy poem that I will not read, but I will share a line. And I found it years ago in the New Yorker magazine, and it's by Jack Gilbert. And the title of it is A Brief for the Defense. And I think it's one you want to keep close by. But in the poem, he talks about the difficult times in the world, names a lot of them. And somewhere in the middle, he says, but we must delight, because not to delight in troubled times is to dance with the devil. Make room for delight/joy, because that can save us in these times. Hafiz, the Persian poet, does anybody know Hafiz? Yeah, one of my favorites. I used to take a Hafiz book of poetry and Rumi in the car with me in the early 90s when I would drive to a ranch in Wyoming in the summer. And I would just memorize, no cell phones then, no Pandora, no Spotify. And so I would memorize poems. I don't do that anymore. I may take it up again, but they'd have to be short poems now. At any rate, I want to share this Hafiz poem. And if you will, let your chair hold you up as you listen to this poem, and just land as solidly in your body as you can. Open heart, expanded presence. Are you breathing? Just notice if you're breathing. Hafiz writes, I sometimes forget that I was created for joy. My mind is too busy, my heart is too heavy for me to remember that I have been called to dance the sacred dance of life. I was created to smile, to love, to be lifted up, and to lift up others. O sacred one, untangle my feet from all that ensnares, and free my soul that we might dance, and that our dancing might be contagious. Sometimes we forget that we were created for joy. The saints that I named for myself were people who laughed easily. They sometimes remembered that they were created for joy. And may that be the case for us as well. Do you trust joy? Do you trust joy? Do you believe that joy has a depth? Until recently, I wasn't sure I believed that. Had this serious tone. I want to do my work. I want to be a better person. And then what? A better person? So I thought, I need to laugh. I need to trust joy. How much do you trust joy? And that's a serious question. Sorry. There is something that I often use in workshops, which is to identify your bedrock. And by bedrock, I mean it's the place I go, it's what I remember when I am lost to myself. Barbara Kingsolver would state it, life's least losable things. And for me, my bedrock includes silence, stillness, the natural world, soup. What is your bedrock? What saves you and calls you home when you are lost? Sometimes all I have to do is go into the woods and smell the moss, the ground, lean against a tree, and ask, please help me. What is your bedrock? What are life's least losable things for you that bring you home? So I'm going to give you a moment for self-reflection and come up with 3. Probably you would name possibly faith. We can call that a given. But see if you can go on. and get some specific things. Does this make sense, what I'm asking you to do? Your bedrock. What do you know to be true no matter what? What do you know to be true no matter what? Connection is another for me. I have a belief that we're all intimately connected in this seamless, holy web of life. Each of us, a string, a thread. So what is it? So you'll have a couple minutes to self-reflect, and then we'll hear what you had to say, hear what came up. Bedrock. What do you trust to bring you home? Thirty more seconds. Do you want to take the mic around and people can speak into it? So Robin will come to you when you raise your hand and want to share part of your bedrock. I'm hoping most of you will. So you're ready to share? Thank you. Here comes Robin. Maybe share your name.
Suzanne,
Okay.
I've learned in the last couple of years to trust God, God the Holy Spirit, God our Savior, God our Father. And I have learned that it's good to, when we think about what we believe, to change that word believe to trust. Trust. And that's it.
Beautiful.
Trust in all kinds of things, in
Yeah.
your prayer, in your meditation.
And in self. Mm-hmm. Because if I don't trust myself, I can't trust you, and probably I can't trust the holy or my holy unfolding. Thank you, Suzanne. Yeah. Ashley.
Thank you.
Since I know some names of folks in here, look out.
Two things that came to mind for me were things that can help bring me back, I guess, is solitude and my breath. Because I know that I get stuck up here, but if I can connect with my body, I can reset.
It's a great resource. Thank you for reminding us. Mimsy.
Did I have my hand?
You know, my eyesight is off. I just...
Well, unaccustomed as I am to speaking, I'll tell you what just popped into my mind. Well, number one is silence.
Yeah.
And number two is something that was said to me probably 50 years ago by a woman. I was in a very sad, bad situation of life. And I called out of desperation an 800 number that was from Daily Word, which is a Unity publication. And I just unloaded on this person on the phone. And she said, "All right, my dear, repeat after me. I am a child of God, one with God's light and wisdom. I see my way clearly." And that's what popped into my mind when you said that.
Thank you. What a powerful moment.
My name's Rose, and what popped into my mind was the trust that I have in my love for my 4 daughters, and the certainty that no matter how irritated we get with each other, there's that bedrock for me of knowing that I love them.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Rose. Yeah. Family is part of the bedrock for many of us, I think, and your love for them. Yeah. Who else? All right, this side of the room. You ready? Jill. You did.
What I trust to bring me home includes walking, clouds, water, breath, cats.
Our beloved four-leggeds teach presence and bring us back. Thank you for naming that. Who else? Arthur.
I was about to raise my hand. We're connected. I have the great benefit of living on a farm, and nature, walking in nature, jogging in nature, and as I told Ann while we were talking earlier, when the geese are on the driveway and I have to slow down, I'm just so thankful.
Thank you.
I see a hand back there, Heidi.
I think mine are just specifics of the bigger categories that I've already heard, but what came to mind for me is weather, a dance party, and going to bed on time.
Sleep is really crucial. Yeah. And moving our bodies is a resource. Thank you. Okay. Jim. I wasn't going to call on the two of you since you're hosting me.
I'll mention, too, that others have alluded to. One is dreams. You know, the dream world. I trust for answers in sleep. And then the other one that I'll say for my friend John, who you met, who can't be here, John Ruski, is the river. And it's like trusting in flow. It's like what you were talking about, Suzanne. He always, when he greets or says goodbye, he'll say, "The river be with you." Then he'll give a couple whoops, whoop, whoop. and that it sets me at peace. Yeah.
You know, you're so lucky you live on the river. I hope you find ways to get to it, to be with it, to listen. Yeah. Carrington.
Okay. Certainly solitude and reaching out for connectedness with people I love. But another one is finding something minute that is right with me, might be at my feet, generally in nature, and just focusing on that thing that is there with me right then.
Thank you. That's a lovely practice. Right here, right now. What am I grateful for? And what feels like bedrock? Friends, if this speaks to you, I would invite you to write some of this down. I keep my bedrock written and I add to it. I also have a sheet of inner and outer resources because we forget how well resourced we are. We forget to stand on bedrock. And this can be so helpful. Yeah. Anyone else before we wrap this up? Michelle.
I was just going to say, one, a long walk on the beach by myself, which is not usually Arthur wants to go with me, and he doesn't always understand, like, I need to do this by myself. But I think there's something about the salt water and the salt air, but then the crying, and a good cry often, yeah, it just brings you back to yourself and just helps clear a lot of stuff away, for me.
Thank you for naming tears as resource and bedrock, because that salty tear is healing. It's important to cry. Joy can evoke that, as can other things. Thank you all for being such a participatory group. Reverend Scott, I'm going to give it to you, and thank you for having me at Calvary.
We haven't actually met. I snuck in here at 10:14. Catherine had to go to it, but thank you for that, Sandra. Thanks for your day yesterday. I've already gotten all kinds of reports about how people access the part of themselves that you've been inviting us to today. So thanks for your work in ministry and for being here. Thanks for all of you for being present, fully present. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord.